An eye for an eye makes the whole world blind. It's a very common saying. I want to talk a little bit about anger. Anger is probably something that has made its way insidiously in every crack of our lives without us even knowing it until it's too late sometimes. And it's the one thing that it burns both sides, right? Both parties are affected by an angry interaction. Now, if you are the aggressor, it might make you feel good, but it never ever makes anything right. It actually makes everything you do instantly wrong. It's funny that way. It's hard. Anger is one of the most recognizable negative characteristics in people, but it's the hardest to get rid of because it strikes our primal chord so strongly. The response from something that angers us is rooted deep, deep, deep within us, probably from childhood. And it's something most people never completely master. And that's why most of us walk around these days and we have to put up with outbursts from people who never really emotionally matured. Now, not saying that I myself is some kind of self-proclaimed Buddha or something. Definitely far from the truth. What I'm trying to explain to you is there's a time and place. And there's a time when you're justified, but only up to a certain point. There's no such thing as being justified in acting out violently on somebody. That it takes your position of moral, I don't know, superiority in a situation if you're trying to be a bigger man. And if you add an element of anger into that, you completely and instantly destroy that position you hold. From in your mind at the time, you might feel justified, but to everyone else at that same time, you were not. Anger doesn't make anything better. Anger doesn't even make you feel better. Anger doesn't make the other person feel better. So what's the use of anger? There's almost no real reason for it. Everything you want to achieve can be achieved without being angry. It's on you to learn those ways. It's on you to center yourself. It's on you to understand yourself better. I think there's a statistic floating around sometime, I forget, in the past last year or so, which says that as the literacy rate in a city decreases, the amount of violent crimes increases. And I thought that to be very interesting because that says something about education and being able to understand not only others and be able to communicate to others, but turn that around and also be able to see from within, to understand from within. Because when there's anger and violence, there's a lack of communication. There's a communication breakdown, and both parties feel like they're at an impasse, that there is no way they could come to resolution without acting physically, without just coming together. They want to dominate because they don't know how to come together. But not only is that happening between people in social interactions, but it's happening, I think, and it's my theory, within people. You get to a certain point of civility by being able to outwardly express yourself. But to come to a true state of peace and love and being, you have to know how to communicate to yourself, understand within yourself. And that's something that a lot of people are overlooking. The battle isn't always out on the front lines. Sometimes the battle is within you. Sometimes you react to people in certain ways, and this is where being self-aware comes into play. You need to react. When you react to people in certain ways, you need to hold up, kind of come out of yourself and say, hey, honestly, is this about them or me? Is this really about them or me? And sometimes the answer is it's because of you. The person wasn't really that rude. They just really triggered you, but because your trigger doesn't make you justified to lash out at them. 100% they probably think you're overreacting. And actually they didn't even really mean it that way. They just are coming from a different life. They don't know your life. You know? Don't be so into yourself to think that everyone knows everything about your life, and what makes you upset they don't. We're all just out here trying to make it. So, what I'm trying to say is make a case against anger and declare a silent war against it. You know, find alternatives. Try to practice them. Try to practice patience. Try to center yourself. Do things that help you quiet yourself, quiet your thoughts, so you can see the world and your actions and people objectively. Because the ego is really the source of anger. You can't be angry without an ego. You can't be angry at someone if there is no someone and there is no you. If you are all just each other, you can't be angry at the group. The ego is division, duality. The ego is a metaphor for the devil, in my opinion. So just be aware of that and have a sense of humility and understand that everyone's not out to get you. Start there. Thanks a lot, guys. Like, comment, share, subscribe.